Hello! Welcome back to the Casey Wally channel. So, I just watched Godzilla vs. King Kong. Alright, I know this is by no means a cutting edge review, but this is not a movie reviewing channel, anyways. Just thought I'd upload my thoughts. So, for context, I have not seen the last two Godzilla movies, I think. I saw the 2016 one back when it originally came out, and I skipped the Kong movie and I believe the last one, the previous one was called Godzilla King of All Monsters, I believe, where he defeats King Ghidorah. Obviously, I'm not a huge fan of the series, but you know, I finally decided to check out the new movie. What did I think? Well, I liked it. It was okay. It was. I didn't really have expectations for it, but I liked it. Well, actually, there's a few things I didn't really like about it, but there's a lot of things that I did like about it. So I guess I'll start with, by the way, spoilers. I'm gonna do spoilers. If you ever see me talk about movies, I'm not gonna shy away from spoilers. That's not what I do. This is not a movie reviewing channel. If I do review a movie or a game or whatever, I'm just doing it for the fun of it, honestly. So, spoilers, 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 spoilers. So, I'll start with what I liked. The actual fight scenes. So, like I said, I actually saw the original of this particular series, which started in 2016, the Godzilla movie, and it was good. But anyone who's watched that movie would agree with me. There was way too much everything else that wasn't Godzilla fighting the monsters. Way too much of everything else. Bryan Cranston was great in that movie, but the entire time you're watching it, you're just thinking like, and Godzilla? But then they kill off Bryan Cranston's character, which he was by far the best other part of the movie, definitely the best actor in the movie. And they even in the original movie, they skipped the first fight where Godzilla finally catches up to the bug-like creature monster thing that's ravaging the city, looking for nuclear energy, if I recall correctly. And they skip it. They don't even show you what happened. So you don't even know how the bug creature got away. Anyways, that's something that this movie does way, way better. There's at least 3 good fight scenes, all 3 of which are definitely fun. They're all CG, obviously. That's just the way it is with this particular series. I know that's a very divisive thing in the world of movies, as towards whether it's CG or practical effects. And myself personally, not really being a huge watcher of Godzilla, I've seen. I'll just briefly say my back history. The first ever Godzilla movie I watched was the 2001 with Matthew Broderick. And then the next one I saw was the 2016 Godzilla movie. So I'm not claiming to be an expert on the subject. I'm about as far away from that as you could possibly be. It's not one of my things. But yeah, I think the CG works for this movie. I think it looks pretty good. Again, spoilers. The CG for Godzilla looks great, and the CG for Kong also looks great. The CG for the actual villain of the movie, which ended up being Mechagodzilla, well, the CG was okay. His design, not so much. I wasn't crazy about the design. I know he was a machine, so he doesn't need to be like as thick as the actual Godzilla, but even still, he kind of looked weirdly emaciated. But you know what I liked? I liked how he didn't. I was expecting his fighting style to be exactly the same as Godzilla's, and it wasn't. That's where the movie genuinely did something really cool. Was that the cool thing about Mechagodzilla is that he has like these jet propulsion things on his spines and his back. So, when like Godzilla or Kong threw a punch, it's super slow, because of how big they are. It's But when Mechagodzilla does it, he literally has jet propulsion, even though he's as big as them. I think he's actually slightly larger than Godzilla. but he doesn't. The mass doesn't slow him down quite as much because he literally has jets on like his elbow, like speeding up his punches. So when he throws like a kick or a punch or whatever, it's like you really see and feel that impact on Godzilla. You're just like, oh god. In terms of the whole versus thing, Godzilla technically, well, in terms of Godzilla versus Kong, Godzilla technically wins. Um, so he obviously won the first fight. The first fight takes place on this. They're trying to transport Kong from, not from Skull Island. In this part of the movie, he's already off of his island, and they've tried to create this like simulated place for him that's like pretending to be his island, but he knew it was fake. He's like throwing trees through it and stuff. Um, and so they're trying to transport him on this giant. What do you call these things? Like, what are they called? Like these giant like military battleships that typically carry like jets, like jet carriers, I guess. And so they're transporting him. So he's out in the open ocean. So he's obviously at a massive disadvantage to Godzilla. And that's where their first fight takes place. And Godzilla easily wins that fight. Kong does get in some pretty good hits, but overall, the victory goes to Godzilla. They end up like they have to like shut everything down, and Kong has to like play dead on top of the ship. He knows he's not dead, but that's like their way of being like, okay, you win, buddy, you win. And then Godzilla's like, all right, I won, and then he leaves. I kind of like that about his character. He's not really trying to kill anyone. I mean, theoretically, a lot of humans must die in this movie, but Godzilla's not really trying to kill humans. He's trying to assert his dominance as like the top apex predator being, whatever. And so he has 2 times in this movie he puts Kong down for the count, and he could finish him off. He chooses not to, so he's not really the villain. The whole reason why Godzilla is going haywire is because he can somehow feel or sense, maybe he can sense the energy levels. They don't really explain how he knows, but they do establish that he knows that they're essentially building Mechagodzilla under the ground, and Godzilla doesn't know exactly where it is, but he knows that this Titan is somewhere around, and he's trying to find it and kill it. And then all of a sudden Kong appears, and he's like, well, I gotta beat Kong too, because again, that's like Godzilla's whole motivation in this movie is he has to be at the top for whatever reason. Which I will say makes a little bit more sense than his original. There is this whole funny thing from the original movie where they were like, he is here to restore the balance, and I was just like, that I got a good laugh at that. I was like, are you calling us the balance? It's very flattering, but I don't think that's true. Anyways, so yeah, Godzilla and Kong fight. Let's see, did they fight 2 or 3 times? I think technically they only fight. Well, there's a point in the movie. So Godzilla easily wins round 1, and technically means he wins the whole thing. Because if he had killed Kong, then that would have been it right there. Kong wouldn't have made it to round 2 if Godzilla didn't let him. So technically Kong wins. I'm sorry, technically Godzilla wins. Then in the second round, they give the second round to Kong. They literally even say it in the movie. They're like, oh, I guess Kong wins round 2. Because later on, like basically, Kong ends up getting like this super hammer thing that's kind of designed by his people from the past. I'll get in a little bit to that later, but suffice it to say, he gets a giant axe, and the axe is very useful against Godzilla. So Kong kind of wins round 2, but then Godzilla immediately after that, so technically within the same fight, ends up kind of adapting to Kong's style, and he just decimates the monkey, just lays him out, like crushes his rib cages. And again, kind of, like if he had done the nuclear, like atomic breath, whatever they call it, right in Kong's face, he would have been done. The only reason why Kong had like a comeback is because then Mechagodzilla, like right after Zilla officially beats Kong for the second time, that's when Mechagodzilla comes alive, comes out, and then Godzilla and Godzilla and Mechagodzilla go toe to toe, and Godzilla or Mecha absolutely decimates OG Zilla, absolutely obliterates him. And so then the humans use their spacecraft to revive Kong, bring him back so that Kong can then save Zilla. And it's one of those movies. It's very predictable. So again, the things that I liked about the fights, it was fun. The CG was, I know some people are going to gripe over CG versus practical effects, and maybe they should have used more of a combination of both. But the CG is at least okay. It was a fun movie. Now the things that I don't like. So the human characters certainly weren't the worst thing ever, but there was some pretty big flaws with them. My personal biggest issue was with, so I don't know the other two actors' names, but the very well-known actress, Millie Bobby Brown, I believe is her name. She's known from, she plays Elle from Stranger Things. Good show, by the way. Apparently they are actually working on season 4 now, so that's cool. So yeah, she's in this movie, and she has like this sidekick character who's about her age, and then they end up meeting up with this other, like one of these like very stereotypical conspiracy theorist type characters, and there's no point to them in the movie. There's no point. My personal theory is she expressed interest in the movie. She's like, oh, I'd like to be in this movie. And they were like, oh, we got Millie Bobby Brown. She's huge right now. We have to put her in the movie. And they were like, we don't really have another role for her. She can't play the little girl character to Kong because she's not young enough. She can't play the older female character that follows around the younger girl character to Kong because she's not old enough. Where can we put her? We'll just make a role for her. That's kind of what it felt like. I like her as an actress. She was pointless in this movie. Her sidekick character, the stereotypical fat kid who's supposed to be funny. I guess us larger men were typically funny, right? This kid was actually, to be fair, I'm not going to hold it against the actor. I don't even know who the actor is. I've never seen him before. I didn't see anything wrong with him in particular. It's just the writing was so just, not funny. And like every single line he was supposed to speak was supposed to be one of those, literally, I'm not going to be able to remember even most of the jokes he did, but I think one of them was literally like, so Millie Bobby Brown's character is following around this conspiracy theorist guy who's been like kind of tracking this company that he works for. You can tell he works for the company because he knows they're up to something, and he has this, one of the jokes about the movie is that he runs a podcast. It's literally one of the jokes of the movie is that he has a podcast. Okay. Anyways, so she keeps on following him around, and I'm going to get into why also I find that kind of annoying, but they're going further and further into like this base, and at one point the fat kid is just like I don't understand women. It's just one of those stupid punchlines. It's like, oh, alright. Moving on. Anyways. And that was like all his jokes though. So he wasn't very funny, so his character felt pointless. Millie Bobby Brown's character doesn't really do anything throughout the movie. She's just following this conspiracy theorist guy. And really the only thing that these three characters accomplish together is they exist to be there for the reveal of Mechagodzilla. That's it. That's all that they're there for. As a matter of fact, one of the jokes that didn't make any sense to me, so when they first see Mechagodzilla, one of the characters, I think it's the conspiracy theorist guy, it's either him or Millie, I forget which already, even though I literally just watched the movie. One of them goes, it's like Robo-Godzilla. And then the fat kid goes, no, it's Mecha-Godzilla. And I was like, wait, but how does he know that? In this universe, how is Mecha-Godzilla, the character's name is Mecha-Godzilla, but how did the fat kid know that? It could have also just as well been Robo-Godzilla. Again, it's a one-off joke. It's a joke you're not supposed to think about. You're just supposed to be like, ha 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 ha. when they do it, but it's not that funny. Anyways, I won't get stuck on that, but I have to say, all throughout the movie, the kid's doing that, and you're just like sitting in the back, just being like, anyways, Godzilla? Yeah, there he is again. So, anyways. So I'll wrap it up. They fight Mechagodzilla. The two of them fight him together. Kong, OG Godzilla. They take out Mecha. It's okay. It's pretty good. And at the end of it, actually no, I'm sorry. Before I end this, I do have to address the main, like, kind of the main quote unquote villain of the movie, because there's technically three. There's this evil corporation bad guy. There's this guy who's supposed to pilot Mechagodzilla, and then there's Mechagodzilla. Now, Mechagodzilla technically ended up being his own character, even though I was afraid he wasn't going to be, because he was supposed to be piloted by this guy. But when they do a certain thing in the movie, Mechagodzilla does get to end up being his own character, which I thought was better than him just being a giant Gundam, essentially. I like that. I do prefer that choice that they made. But the over the top villain that actually is the reason why we have Mechagodzilla in the movie, the guy who is like running the whole company that ends up creating Mecha, he's so over the top, but not even really good at it. It's not like if like Gary Oldman was doing it. It's not like that kind of performance. And there is no moment. There is a maniacal speech, but it gets cut off when again, spoilers, when Mechagodzilla ends up actually killing him. But I swear to God, throughout the entire movie, I would have to rewatch it just to see if maybe I'm wrong about this, but I don't think I am. Throughout the entire movie, he is nursing a whiskey. Throughout the entire movie, he has a glass of like scotch or something. It's one of those super cliche, over the top things where it's like, oh, if you want that's just one step above. That is just one notch better than if he had like a white Persian cat that he was like stroking throughout the entire movie, But having like the glass of scotch is so. It also could have been a glass of wine. Either way, why are villains always such alcoholics? Why? Anyways, here's my final thoughts. I'm not going to go over every single detail in this movie, even though I could, but it's not really that kind of movie to me. It's your stereotypical kind of like, I know it's not actual summer yet, but it's your stereotypical summer action flick. And I'm not a movie reviewer, but I'll say if I was a movie reviewer, I would be tempted to give this movie as low as like a 5 out of 10, because it's not bad. It's just serviceable. It's just doing the bare minimum. The CG is fun, and the effects can be fun. The overall visuals and the fighting feels fun enough to where, you can kind of get into it a little bit. But pretty much all the human characters you don't care about, or at least I didn't care about. No investment in them whatsoever. And as far as the villain goes, I think the movie would have technically been better with that one, because like I said, Doctor, just, drinks a lot over there. Not a very interesting person. But here's the thing. Here's why, if I were a movie reviewer, although on a technical level I wouldn't want to give it anything above a 5 out of 10, I would actually give it a 6 out of 10. And here's why. The main reason, and really the only reason, this movie really reminds me of another movie out there. An older movie. When I was a teenager, when I was a young boy, my father took me to see a movie. I'm sorry for that. When I was a teenager, the first Michael Bay's Transformers movie came out, and I loved it. I thought it was great. The CG was fun. It was over the top. Shia LaBeouf at least I thought he was funny. I thought the side characters were funny, even though there was this one blonde chick character who kind of felt like she was in the movie for the same reason that Millie Bobby Brown is in this movie, because we liked her and we had her, and it was like, all right, put her in the movie. And just like with her character, just like with Millie Bob, just like with the fat kid character that I mentioned earlier, the blonde chick from Transformers also had a sidekick character who was supposed to be funny. And here's the thing: there was also, oh dang it, I forgot his name. There was another character, the FBI agent that's after, Sam throughout the whole movie, talking Transformers right now. I thought he was funny. I sometimes his name escapes me and I can't think of it right now. Anyways, this movie, Godzilla vs. Kong, really reminded me of Transformers. And it kind of made me realize I know that there's teenagers out there that are going to see this movie and it's going to make their day. They're not going to be over analyzing it. They're not going to be thinking too much about the villain, too much about the motivation of the characters. They're just going to enjoy the fun effects, the this and the that. Maybe they'll have similar circumstances. They'll watch this movie with their friends, and they'll laugh at it, and they'll throw popcorn and whatever, and it's just going to be a good time. And I wouldn't give a bonus point to every action movie just for being an action movie, but throughout this movie, I kept on relating it to Michael Bay's first Transformers movie, and I kept on thinking, I bet if I was still 16 years old, I'd really love this movie. Maybe this movie just isn't for me. Maybe I'm not the demographic. Maybe I'm a little bit too. Look at me here. I'm wearing a Dragon Ball Z shirt talking about how I'm too mature for the Godzilla vs. Kong movie. The irony is not lost on me. But in all seriousness, I don't think I'm the demographic for this movie. I think I am a little bit too old. I can enjoy it. I think anyone could enjoy watching this movie. I think my dad could probably have fun watching this movie. But I think a 16-year-old or like a 14-year-old or whatever, I think they're going to have a way better time with this movie. And I think it's for them. It's the same demographic that Michael Bay's first Transformers movie was for. Just young dumb teenagers. And I think if I'm looking at it in that point of view, then it's a much better movie. So that's what I'd give it. My solid 6 out of 10. If I was Angry Joe, it'd show up right here. Anyways, so that's my review. Godzilla vs. Kong. Fun movie, 6 out of 10. All right. See ya.